Welcome to Quiet Arcadia, a space where we explore silence, clarity, and the quiet power of the mind. Today we're diving into a hidden force that shapes almost half of our daily actions, the habit loop. More than 40% of what you do each day is not a conscious decision, but an automatic routine. Think about your morning. Do you decide each step carefully, or do you move through a set of rituals, coffee, shower, phone, that repeat almost without thought? Charles Duhigg calls habits the invisible architecture of life, and Gretchen Rubin describes them as the scaffolding on which we... If you've ever wondered why you always grab your phone right after waking up, or why it feels so hard to quit a bad habit, this is why. According to Charles Duhigg, author of The Power of Habit, every habit follows a three-step loop. First is the cue, the trigger, for example, the sound of your alarm. Second is the routine, the action. You reach for your phone and start scrolling. Finally comes the reward, the payoff, a dopamine rush, distraction, or the relief of not missing out. The basal ganglia stores it, allowing the brain to save energy for more complex tasks. Over time, your brain hardwires this cycle. That's why habits stick, whether good or bad. One of Duhigg's striking examples is Pepsodent toothpaste. In the 1920s, people didn't brush their teeth regularly. Advertisers created a cue, the film on your teeth, and promised a reward, a tingling, fresh feeling. Within a decade, brushing teeth became a daily American ritual. Duhigg points out that this loop can explain everything from why we brush our teeth each morning, a habit created by advertising in the early 20th century, to why football teams drill automatic responses to certain cues on the field. And here's the challenge. Once a loop is encoded, it never truly disappears. That's why breaking a bad habit feels so difficult. But it also means good habits, once established, can stay with us for life. Another story from The Power of Habit shows how deeply habits shape us. Eugene Pauly, a man who lost the ability to form new memories, couldn't recall where his kitchen was, or the names of his neighbours. Yet every morning he still walked around the block and found his way back home. He couldn't explain how, he simply followed the loop. His brain had stored the routine, even without conscious memory. This case reveals something powerful. Habits live in a part of the brain separate from memory and reason. Even when we forget names, dates, or facts, the loops of cue, routine, and reward remain intact. Duhigg tells the story of Lisa, a woman who once struggled with smoking and unhealthy patterns. One day, she realized, to live differently, she had to quit. She replaced smoking with running. That single change triggered a domino effect. Her health, finances, and even career transformed. This is what psychologists call a keystone habit, one powerful habit that reshapes many areas of life. Another example, Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer. His coach trained him not only physically but through habits. Before every race, Phelps followed the same routine: visualization, stretching, music. The cue was the pool, the routine was automatic, and the reward was calm focus. By race day, he didn't need motivation, he simply followed the loop. But not everyone changes habits the same way. Gretchen Rubin, author of Better Than Before, emphasizes, there is no one-size-fits-all. She developed what she calls the 4 Tendencies framework: upholders, who respond readily to both inner and outer expectations; questioners, who need to understand why; obligers, who meet external demands but struggle with their own goals; and rebels, who resist all expectations, even their own. This matters because if you're an obliger, you may need accountability, someone waiting for you at the gym. If you're a rebel, that same strategy might backfire because you'll push against it. Rubin also identifies what she calls the essential 7, the 7 categories of habits people most want to change: eat and drink more healthfully, exercise regularly, manage money better, rest and relax, be more productive, simplify and organize, and deepen relationships. And she offers strategies. 1. Monitoring, track your actions, because as she says, we manage what we monitor. 2. Scheduling. Put habits into your calendar. 3. Loophole spotting. Notice when you excuse yourself, like saying, I deserve this, or it doesn't count on vacation. 4. Treats. Allow small pleasures so you don't rebel against too much deprivation. 5. The clean slate. Use transitions, a new job, a new home, a Monday morning, as a fresh start to build new habits. Knowing which of these matter most to you and how your personality approaches change can make the difference between frustration and success. Some people thrive with accountability, having someone check in. Others resist rules and need freedom. Her core message: self-knowledge is the key. Habits are science, yes, but they are also art, tailored to your unique personality. Rubin also talks about what she calls foundation habits. These are habits that support almost every other change: getting enough sleep, exercising, eating and drinking wisely, and staying organized. When these foundation habits are in place, other positive routines become easier. For example, when you sleep well, you have more willpower to resist snacks, more energy to exercise, and more patience in relationships. That's why building just one foundation habit can create momentum for many others, very much like the keystone habits described by Duhigg. So how can you hack your habits in just 7 days? Here's a simple roadmap. Day 1 to 2. Observe. Write down the cues that trigger the habit you want to change. For example, stress makes you snack, or boredom makes you scroll. As Rubin says, we manage what we monitor. Day 3 to 4. Replace the routine. Same cue, but swap the action. Drink water, take a short walk, or pause for deep breaths. Duhigg calls this the golden rule of habit change. You can't erase a habit, but you can rewire it. Day 5 to 6. Adjust the reward. Make the new routine satisfying, feel the calm, track your streak, or give yourself a small, healthy treat. Or savor the sense of calm that follows. Over time, your brain will crave this reward instead of the old one. Day 7. Reflect and personalize. Which strategy works best for you? Accountability, scheduling, or a clean slate restart? If you're an upholder, setting a rule may be enough. If you're an obliger, find an accountability partner. If you're a rebel, frame the change as an act of freedom or identity. Remember, habits compound. Duhigg shows how Starbucks trained baristas to handle customer frustration, not with willpower, but with scripts, tiny habits that became automatic under stress. In the same way, you can script your own responses in daily life. In 1 week, you won't be perfect, but you'll have started rewiring your loop. Habits are the invisible architecture of life. When you change your habits, you change your destiny. As Rubin writes, habits free us from constant decision-making, and as Duhigg shows, habits can remake lives, organizations, even societies. Another strategy Rubin suggests is the strategy of identity. Instead of saying, I'm trying to run, you tell yourself, I am a runner. When a habit becomes part of your identity, it's harder to break because it feels like breaking yourself. There's also the strategy of pairing. You attach a new habit to something you already do. For example, if you want to meditate, pair it with your morning coffee. No coffee until you've done 2 minutes of breathing. The old habit becomes a cue for the new one. So, what one habit will you try to shift this week? Share it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more quiet yet powerful insights here at Quiet Arcadia. Thank you for listening.